What's up, cheer fans? Welcome to the Varsity TV studios for the League by Varsity All Star weekly series. I'm your host, Amber Salas, and it's hard to believe that another remarkable season has come and gone. This is episode 15 and our final edition of the League by Varsity All Star weekly series for season 3 here. Before we get ready to reveal all the incredible champions of the League by Varsity All Star, that's coming up on April 17th. But before we get there, we've got a lot to break down because these final weekends of events are loaded with last-minute thrills and excitement. We've got all the latest news for you right here in the League by Varsity All Star weekly series. We might be getting down to the wire here in our final few weeks of the regular season, but these weekends have still been full of meaningful events that could quite literally decide what's going to happen here on some of these leaderboard races. Just this last weekend alone, there were 4 600-point events spread out all across the nation. So after a very important weekend, let's go ahead and check in on some of these standout leaderboard races. As always, let's first start off by checking in on our League 6 conferences. These are all so close and exciting. We've got a new leader here on the League 6 co-ed. Maine Stars Glory jumping into that top spot after ACDA reached the Beach Grand Nationals. This was their 7th event, so they were able to drop a lower score of 500 points. In exchange for those 600 points they just earned, that puts them up top, 3,775 points. Glory has been on an incredible journey this season. They have 5 first-place finishes and a close second-place finish at CheerSport. So great to see them on an incredible run here. We've also got TAI Ice Co-ed moving up 9 spots to now be in second place, 3,749 points. That's after picking up 600 points from Cheer Power Grand Nationals. This was Ice Co-ed's 6th event of the season, so as a result, they were able to add those full 600 points to their overall points total. That helped them make a decent jump. We've also got World Cup Odyssey making their way into the top 10 here at number 4 after competing at their 6th event of the season. 600 points from Spirit Sports Myrtle Beach Nationals. But let me tell you, the team to keep an eye on, Mac Senior Stars, they're currently here at number 3. They have the opportunity to pick up 600 more points from the NCAA virtual competition on April 9th. But here's what could happen. That would allow them to drop a score of 400 points from earlier in the season for 600 points. If they get those full 600 points, they'll boost their score to 3,900 points. As you could see, that would allow them to jump into that top spot and put them in the lead. So this race ain't over until it's over. Now let's also go ahead and take a look at the League 6 All-Girl. There's a lot of great teams all across this top 10 as we see them here. We've got some movement from Step 1 All-Stars North Phenomenal. They're down here making their way into the top 10. Maryland Twisters F5, they had a nice jump up 12 spots here. World Cup Shooting Stars, Cheer Extreme SSX. There are so many great teams all across this that picked up anywhere from 500 to 600 points from their performances this weekend. But if you've been tuning in the last few weeks, you know that Cheer Extreme Senior Elite is the team we've been keeping an eye on. They moved up 1 spot, now in second place. They picked up 600 points from 1UP Grand Nationals. Their coach, Courtney Smith-Pope, said this season has been so special. It's the only senior elite team in history to hit 0 at each and every 2-day event of their season. That's according to her Facebook post. And they could also keep making history and potentially take over the League 6 All-Girl. So let's do some math here to show you what could possibly happen. Both South Coast Cheer Fearless, who's our current leader, and Senior Elite are registered for the NCAA Virtual Championship. If we look at Fearless's league schedule so far this season and take into account their top 6 scores, all 6 of those scores are already 600 points or higher. So winning those 600 points at the NCAA Virtual Championship is not gonna do anything for South Coast Cheer Fearless's overall score, given those points they already have. So they're gonna stay at 3,875 points. But if we look at Cheer Extreme Senior Elite's top 6 scores, they have 1 score below 600 points. That was at this Aloha Showdown for 500 points. So if they win those 600 points at the NCAA Virtual Championship, that's gonna boost their score by 100 points. That would put them at 3,900, which would allow them to take over that top spot. So buckle up for this one, folks. It's still a very important week ahead. Taking a look now at a few other races, let's take a look here at D1 Senior. We're looking at this Northeast region. There's a lot of movement here in the top 10, but how about Star Athletics? They are taking over the top 3 here. We have Phoenix, White, and Platinum. Phoenix and White both picked up 600 points from One Up Grand Nationals. Platinum earned 574 points. All 3 of these teams now have 6 total events in the League by Varsity All Star this season. We've also got Star Athletics Onyx down here, tied for 4th place. And East Celebrity Elite, they're also making some noise. We've got Bomb Girls. We've also got Royal 5 here in the top 10. Both those teams moved up 18 spots after successful weekends at Spirit Sports Myrtle Beach Nationals. And lastly, we're gonna take a look at D2 Junior in the Midwest region. This was one of those conferences that got some votes in our question of the week last week, as one of those races that fans are excited to follow along with. So let's go ahead and take a look here. We've got quite a few teams making their way into the top 5 here. Off Main All Stars Intensity is your leader. They moved up 7 spots to take over. They've got 3,624 points. They had a great weekend at One Up Grand Nationals, securing those 600 points. And there was a lot of action over at One Up Grand Nationals. We had wins for Titanium Force Cheer Smack here in 2nd place. Also HCA Gems Black Widow. So those wins for both those teams helped them move up a spot to be in the top 3. And these teams really showcase that the League by Varsity All Star truly takes your entire season into account. They're competing up to the very last second, all of these teams, and that made a big impact for some of these teams like Off Main All Stars, Aspire Cheer Academy. They both moved up 12 spots on this leaderboard. So talk about making it count. A lot of these teams we just went over and all these races are in a great spot, and we can't wait to see how all this plays out and meet our League by Varsity All Star champions in just a little bit. Well, for 15 weeks, we have been lucky enough to check in with Alex Gaggioli every week to check in on the latest news, stats, updates, and of course, those standout moments from the All-Star cheer world. It's been such a fun ride learning from all of his insight each week. So for one last time this season, let's go ahead and bring in Alex Gaggioli. Alex, time sure does fly when you're having fun. What comes to mind for you when you think about this All-Star cheer season so far?
Yeah, time does fly, especially these last couple of months, but I'm excited and ready for these end of season events. You know, looking back on this season, I think what stands out the most is how competitive each division has been. In seasons past, you'll see a dominant team in a division all year, and then they'll go on to win worlds. But I think there are a lot of divisions with potential world champions this year. 3 that stand out to me are Extra Small Senior, Extra Small Co-Ed, and International Open Large Co-Ed 6. It's been exciting to watch a different team win these competitions and make it fun for the fans. And something else that has stood out as a broader theme is that co-ed teams are outscoring these all-girl teams. So this has been true for some extent the last couple of seasons, but for me this season it has been front and center. In CheerTheory's average score ranking, the top 10 is all co-ed right now. Cheer Extreme Senior Elite is currently in 11th, and they are the only all-girl team in the top 20, which I think is a pretty interesting stat.
Yeah, that is definitely interesting for sure. These co-ed teams on a roll so far this season. All right, so it was also a busy weekend this last weekend with some great programs making probably a lot of their last stops before all those end of season events. I know you predicted that we might see a pretty high hit percentage last time when we checked in. So how do those hit percentages turn out this weekend?
Yeah, I sure did predict a high hit percentage, and one of those World's Bit events certainly delivered. So at American Cheer Power Grand Nationals, we saw 36 Worlds performances, and 18 of them had zero deductions for a 50% hit percentage, which is certainly over the 30 or so we've seen so far this season. 5 teams hit zero back-to-back, including Rain Athletics Aqua, Flipping Out Tumbling, Double or Nothing, the California All Stars Kings, Step One Phenomenal, and Top Gun Supermodels. And over at ACD in Maryland, we saw 24 Worlds teams performances. 8 of those had zero deductions for a hit percentage of 33%. And Main Stars Glory was the only team to secure that back-to-back zero. And at One Up Grand Nationals in Nashville, we saw 110 Worlds performances. 20 of those had zero deductions for a hit percentage of 18%. And 4 of those teams hit zero back-to-back, including Gym Time Illinois Fever, Vegas Empire Athletics Revenge, Central Jersey All-Stars SWATs, and Evolution Cheer Teal Obsession.
Man, these hit percentages are just growing week by week, but that's what's awesome to see. That means these teams are finding their stride at such a great time. Okay, so we have one last weekend, but as we have hyped up so much, this could be the deciding weekend when it comes to the League by Varsity All Star, especially for the League 6 Co-Ed and the League 6 All Girl. What are your thoughts about how a lot of these teams have really made these League 6 conferences super competitive this season?
Yeah, you and I have been nerding out these past few weeks about the League 6. The races are so competitive this season. I know last season we kind of knew who was winning each of these races by the last weekend, but it really is coming down to the literal last weekend that teams are eligible to win points. So in the League 6 Co-Ed, Max Senior Stars has had a dominating season, to say the least. They're currently undefeated and they maximize their points. They've had 3 Super National events that were worth 700 points. And they have had one of the most consistently high scoring routines of the entire season. TAI Ice Co-Ed and Main Stars Glories have made these last minute pushes to the top 3. And this race really will be decided by the NCAA virtual competition, which is super interesting. And in the League 6 All Girl, South Coast Cheer Fearless has led the leaderboard for quite some time. And we've been watching Cheer Extreme Senior Elite rise in the rankings. And after competing at One Up this past weekend, they're sitting in that second place and will absolutely be decided by this NCAA virtual competition. So it's fun to see that both Fearless and Senior Elite have had big wins this season and they get to battle it out until the last moment. And, I think overall teams were strategic about which events they went to and competing right up until the end of the regular season. And the rankings really reflect that. So it's fun to watch teams make these last minute pushes before we don't see them for a couple of weeks before Worlds.
Yeah, I love that you say strategic because it's exactly that. Some of them have even adjusted their schedules last minute to really aim to take those wins. So I think that's great to see here in just the second season of the League 6. So super exciting. All right, so we know a lot of fans are also getting excited for all those end of season events. So to get everyone excited for what's still to come, what did those hit percentages look like last season at some of these events, like all of the summits, the cheerleading worlds? And given what's happened this year, do you have any predictions? I know we're getting pretty consistent. How do you think this year is going to go?
Yeah, so it's important to note that the cheerleading world uses a harsher deduction system than we're used to seeing. So we can expect a lower hit percentage there than at the regular season competition. So looking back at the cheerleading worlds 2024, there were 876 performances between prelims, semifinals, and finals, and 211 of those had zero deductions for a 24% hit rate. And out of curiosity, I went and calculated out the hit percentage for the summit, the D2 summit, and youth summit. Summit. And wow, what a difference it is for the non-Worlds divisions. So the Summit had 1,864 performances. 1,140 of them had zero deductions for a 61% hit percentage. At the D2 Summit, there were 1,483 performances. 809 of them had zero deductions for a 55 hit percentage. And at the Youth Summit, there were 653 performances. 429 of them had zero deductions for a 66% hit percentage. So, end of season prediction, I think that we can look for around 30% for Worlds, and I think it's safe to say that the Summit divisions will beat these Worlds divisions in deductions any day.
Awesome, great stuff there. Shout out to all those Summit teams, really showcasing that consistency at some of the most exciting times of the season. All right, well, Alex, it has been so great to check in with you every week for the latest and greatest news in All-Star Cheer. You can, of course, still find him over on CheerTheory, and we can't wait for the next time we get to catch up with you. As always, Alex, thank you so much for everything.
Thanks for having me, Amber. It has been so much fun.
After this busy weekend, let's quickly check in on some of these events and recap what went down in some of these divisions and check out our Hit Zero Meter. First up, there was great action across the board at One Up Grand Nationals. What a great time it was out there in Nashville. And one division that really stood out to me was the Level 6 Senior Extra Small Co-Ed division with 9 teams in action. What really comes to mind for me is what a great way for these teams to wrap up the regular season and really see where they stand in such a loaded division full of talent. So with that, here were our final top 3 teams in this division. In third place was Cheer Athletics Pittsburgh Steelcats, scoring a 96.775. That football-themed routine always brings that energy and excitement and really is so fun for these fans to watch. In second place, hitting zero on that final day was Central Jersey All Stars Team Guns, scoring a 98.4458. Man, what comes to mind about Team Guns is just their clean execution all the time. And your national champion, hitting zero both days of competition, was Gym Time Illinois Fever, scoring a 98.8167. Gym Time Illinois Fever continues to put out clean and extremely well executed routines, leading to their success across the board. We're talking that these stunts don't move. They're tumbling sticks and stands. They have some very creative pyramid elements as well that really bring that wow factor. So let's go ahead and take a look at where Fever is at on our Hit Zero Meter. Fever has performed the routine a total of 14 times at events this season. They've hit the routine 9 out of those 14 times. That brings them in at a 64% on our Hit Zero Meter. And what's been so great about Fever is that they have continued to get more and more consistent as the season has gone on, really hitting their stride at a great time. Let's also go ahead and check in at Cheer Power Grand Nationals. Another team we want to take a quick look at from the Level 6 Limited Small Division is Reign Athletics Aqua. A lot of All-Star Cheer fans still know them as the Hit Queens, so let's check in on their Hit Zero Meter after another solid weekend for Aqua, taking the win. Aqua has performed their routine a total of 9 times this season. They've hit zero 7 out of those 9 times. That brings them in at a 78% on the Hit Zero Meter. Super consistent year again for Aqua right there. And what stands out about Aqua, there's only 2 performances where they had deductions. Those both happened on day 1, and then they came back to hit zero on day 2. And I think that just truly showcases their resiliency and their ability to go back and make those adjustments to really nail it out on day 2. The time has come for our final question of the week to share with you all. Last week, we really put it on you all out there to hear from you about which leaderboard race you're most excited to follow along with in these final few weeks of the League by Varsity All Star. So here's how you all answered. Here are the top 5 races in the League by Varsity All Star that received the most votes. We had the League 6 Co-Ed, the League 6 All Girl, the D1 Total Points race, D2 Youth in the Midwest region, and finally D2 Junior in the Midwest region. There are a lot of exciting races after teams picked up 600 points at CheerPower Grand Nationals, and a lot of those teams representing there are from that Midwest region. So as we saw just a little bit earlier, there's movement across a lot of those leaderboards. I know the fans love the League 6 Co-Ed and League 6 All-Girl, and as we said, those both are really gonna come down to the wire. So great picks from you all there. But now the time has come for one last question of the week. So again, we wanna hear from you all that are a part of the League by Varsity All Star. We've got a fill in the blank waiting for you there. So go ahead, scan this QR code now to join us and share with us. To wrap up another great season, we want to reflect back and we want to know what is the best part of being a part of the League by Varsity All Star. So go ahead, scan the QR code now. It'll take you to this week's question of the week where you can write in your answer. Justin Carrier and I are going to pick a few to mention on our award show that will be airing on April 17th. Well, it all comes down to this. We are here at the final event weekend for Season 3 of the League by Varsity All Star. And I just have to say, I have had so much fun and really enjoyed following along with so many great teams and programs in their journey this season, really starting from December on. There's been so many memorable moments, and it's all because of these athletes. They continue to rise to the occasion weekend after weekend to give us performances that we don't forget. It's been a great ride, but remember, some of these races could literally be decided by what happens this weekend. I think that's what makes this so exciting for us. So keep a close eye right here on Varsity TV. Here's what's on the schedule. We're gonna be keeping a close eye on these leaderboard races in the West region because some teams could seal the deal this weekend at the American Showcase in Los Angeles. That's worth 500 points. And closing it out will be the NCAA Virtual Championship. That's worth 600 points. So it's a big weekend. We can't wait to see what teams are gonna secure those final points and etch their name in the League by Varsity All Star record books as champions. As a reminder, there will be no show next week on April 10th. But be sure to mark your calendar for the League by Varsity All Star Award Show airing on April 17th. Join myself and the one and only Justin Carrier as we unveil all these special winners for Season 3 of the League by Varsity All Star. We'll see you then.